Hello everybody! And welcome to another hobby cheating video. Today we're going to talk all about feedback from my good buddy Sam. Let's get into it.
The strict technomancer that is Vincey V.
Let us get to the technique and learn it, Vincey V.
Hi, my name is Sam Lenz. That's L-E-N-Z, not L-E-N-T-Z. There's been a lot of various misspellings, but I'm here in town because I'm teaching a weekend course. I've been on a tour of sorts, and as always, Vince is painting. He never stops. And I'd like to talk today about what he is painting and what he has painted.
That's right. So Sam's going to give some feedback to me in real time. I really believe that getting better in your hobby, in your art, in your craft, however you want to think about it, is a matter of listening to other people, being open to feedback, especially those people who have a great eye and are, better than you, which Sam is. So he's going to give me some feedback on some of my work in progress, as well as some past pieces, so I can continue to hopefully keep taking my next step. So let's go over to the desk where Sam's going to start the feedback.
The first thing with this piece that I'd like to talk about is the non-metallic metal. And although non-metallic metal are best represented by having dramatic depths of shadow and brightnesses to create a reflective material, you may not always want to reach maximal depth of shadow in every area. You need to keep in mind a little bit more of the overall value or volumes of the model. Vince has already been turning this facing to be much more bright. You can see the difference that's making comparing that to the stomach area, right? Now, I like the way that this is functioning in the stomach area, and I like the way that this is functioning up here. Another thing I'd like to talk about, channels of light. I feel there could be more waves within this progression. I think of the light almost like a roller coaster, dipping into depths, reaching a mid-tone, slightly back down, going brighter. You understand, a wave of light going down and up. You want to include that action on your non-metallic metal. I feel there is room for more shimmer shines. At least a secondary wave of a mid-tone occurring here, following in a circular fashion along with the object. Greater peaks of brightness here, so I like this level that he's gotten to, but let's say that is wave number 2 or 3, and wave number 1 will be a pure white. Oh yeah. Also, color shift. I feel there is room for the presence of some kind of purple or lavender in this NMM, and that is just a style choice. That's just a color preference. It's not a hard rule. Something to consider. Now, jumping back to the values, you can see along this metal bra line, this could be brighter overall. Like, you want to consider how can I say this? Don't lose track of the overall volume of the model, right? This breast as a piece, this circle, protrudes outwards. So to lift this outwards a little bit more, including some mid-tone, will give it more overall roundness. I don't mean to be cueing in on the breast, that's just the object we got to. Apply that to all these other shapes, breaking things into basic geometric shapes, applying the value as such. Now, another thing, let's talk about having fun. When there is visible flesh, always consider that no one's skin is perfect. There's a place for small moles. We could get a little beauty mark up here in a deep green. Just 3 or 4 randomly scattered around, just like your body. So consider those little skin interruptions. Vince is doing a great job having a little bit of redness in the more used areas of the skin. And another thing that I'm really appreciating about this is the texture that Vince is bringing into play. I still want to see more sharpness. If I could come in here with like a maybe Baron Dune from the Warpaints Fanatic range, just sketch in there. Might need the inclusion of a little white, maybe a little bit of space dust instead, but I like this graduation of textures. I like to tell myself that light reveals details, so as we're descending into the shadows, the leather texture these lines are less numerous. Yeah, so we got a good thing going on here, and I just want to see a little more sharpness. But what it's also bringing in your compositions, you want to consider material variety. the smooth skin contrasts nicely against wrinkled leather, right? Not even thinking of color alone, just thinking of the textures. Her skin will look more smooth being compared to a rough texture. I also love this yellow gem, just going to say that. And gems are a time to experiment, have a little fun. I would like to see a secondary reflection. Maybe this one could be sort of a lengthy teardrop shape as well. And I don't know, maybe a little bit more yellow at the center. Like, getting weird with gems. They're not always transparent. Sometimes they're medium transparent, we'll say. So the gems are always, especially at this size, are a chance to really play with something. Or maybe it's cracked, or there's a slight, cat's eye sort of pattern. Again, this is an opportunity that you have, and not a rule.
All right, so that was the one that's actually work in progress, right? So that's the current bust I'm working on. And I think feedback that's given when you're still working on it is like generally the easiest feedback to receive.
Yeah, it's easy to change course as you're moving, but going back and starting at moment zero, in a sense, can feel kind of rough.
Yeah, I think if in your brain you haven't clicked over to I'm done.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
It's a mindset.
Yeah, like when you're still working, you're like, okay, I'm expecting to still work on this more.
Yeah.
But we all have that moment of catharsis, especially after a long project where you're like, okay, we did it.
Yeah.
And then being told by somebody, okay, now go back and change 10 things can be like, ugh.
Yeah. So, word from the wise, when she says, how's my outfit? Say it looks good.
That's right. But on this whip, I want to thank you. Like, that was really good feedback. And I think it shows, because some of it was stuff that I think is in the nuance. And you're never going to be able to see everything, like, wrong with your own piece, or all the opportunities with your own piece, or challenges, whatever word you want to use. Other people will notice what you can't, but you can train yourself to start thinking in those ways to, like, catch some stuff. But speaking of going back in time, let's go way back in time.
Okay, jumping into the Wayback Portal. This one dates to around 2019. So applying the same principles of value control, could do a little bit more with this. This shadow up here, upward facing, should be a mid-tone. But the main thing that I want to point out about this is quality of finish. Everything is placed very nicely, but there is a certain, it just needs a little more. Maybe that dirty paint water level of dilution laid on top of some of these blends. I could be operating with a mid-tone, or maybe my second or third brightest color. And I just want to smooth that out a little bit. Drop a few more bits of pigment into these spaces, and like an amoeba, they're going to be filling in the gaps and finding their place. I think this backpack, this piece I'm pointing at with my brush is a good example. Just a little bit more mid-tone and smoothness around there. Quality of finish, my friends, and always value control.
All right, so that one was short but sweet.
Yeah.
But, like, the reality is that I painted a long time ago. I don't paint a lot of new Space Marines anymore. That was the thing.
I found myself giving that advice to a lot of finalists and medalists at the Nova Open a year or two ago. It was coming down to this quality of finish where the placement was correct, yet it needed more smoothness. That is not the entirety of this.
Right.
There is also concept and imagination, but you have to get past the line of perfect painting, or your best.
Yeah, and I think the finish thing is something that really does take a lot of time to do. Like, I think now, and we'll see it on the next piece when we talk about it, like, I do think my ability to render a smooth finish has improved, like, because, and that's a lot of the same things you talk about often. Go back, you should be hitting every step at least 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, like, work yourself down thinner and thinner. I always talk about the pyramid. You start fat and thick, okay? And as you work small and thin, right?
Yeah.
And so you're honing in both the detail, but you're also thinning the paint, working smaller areas, thinner layers, all that kind of stuff. And that's helping you build and keep, and then, your final layers are often just increasing that saturation, that smoothness, that kind of thing.
That's beautiful. Yes, I agree 100%.
You can steal the painting pyramid for your own lessons. There you go. All right, so let's take a look at something I finished recently and see what Sam has to say about that.
A noble woman stands atop the desert sands. Now, I want to talk a little bit about volume, because this is really nice. At first glance, I'm like kind of blown away. However, if I'm asked to split hairs and how do we improve this, this right here is my first idea. This can be a lot lighter. You could have some of this depth in here, but much less. And then on that, I want to talk about the wavering light, the NMM patterning. This is what I'm talking about. This can be included in more areas. It will take on just a smaller version of that. Sometimes you may feel like, oh, there's not room, so it will just go smooth. Still try to get some of those secondary waves of light, that shimmer shine, making it look more shiny leading up to the object. Another thing, I look at this sleeve, and it is nice, but I could take it just a few steps further by just targeting the wrinkles, just a little bit more light gray up here, down here, down here. Those protrusions will just catch a little bit more light, and I feel like there's 1 or 2 more levels of lifting to be done on this in the slightest amounts. We're talking, I could take, this is 60 seconds of brush time. Okay. Let's look at the back here. Yeah, this needs more work. But looking at the successes, yeah, I would take that and apply it to the back. Another area I'm seeing that could use some more attention is the hilt here. I feel like the light would actually be accumulating down here on this wing that is on the upward side. The light would slide down the object in a sense. So a little bit more of the highlight and midtone down there, some dark lining here. Secondary, yeah, it's really about the waves of light. This is majorly a non-metallic metal focused piece, but that is what I'm seeing here. And also just tiny dots of white, literally tiny dots and slashes, capping these off with glistening highlights. Another little quick tip, facing of the gem here. Overall, I don't know. I feel like it would be taking on more of a reflective side here. It may not drop to a depth of shadow because of the angle that it's at. I feel like the light would be more like the reflection would be greater before I get tied up within my words. Lovely work. Thanks, everybody.
All right. The funniest part to me about that review, by the way, was when you turned it over and you were like, well, there's definitely some more work there, which is the old YouTube thing.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Like on YouTube so this is a little behind the scenes thing. When you work a lot of projects for YouTube, the simple reality is the back of the model, if you're not actually going to take it to competition or something, the back of the model just gets short shrift.
Yeah. Right? I don't look at a model and ask myself, what does the back look like? But when someone's asking me to split hairs, analyze, yes, I'm taking a 360-degree view when I'm judging, but let's be honest with ourselves. What pleases you most from a figure? That's what you're drawn to.
Right, exactly. And so it was funny because I know I got that area, was like, yeah, whatever, move on. It's not in the video.
And I saw that in the paint. I was like, let's go back to the completed piece. Let's talk about our successes or whatever it was.
Yeah, where you've actually finished. But what I liked about that was, and I think throughout a lot of this feedback, I know this is something you've been honing in on a lot lately in your own craft, is really thinking a lot more deeply about subtle values.
Yes.
Right? Like, one of your most common things you said in there was value control. But to me, yes, that's correct. Okay? I agree completely. But there's something to subtlety. And I think as you progress in the art, the hobby, the things you're changing get a lot more subtle. Mm-hmm. Right? And those are the things you have to honestly kind of train yourself to see. 2016 Sam probably wouldn't have had the same thought. Right? Or 2020 Sam probably wouldn't have even had the same thought.
He was all shadows.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so as you go, you're going to notice different things. You're going to evolve your style. And thinking about those careful subtleties of how light works. I talk all the time about how really the journey we're on here is understanding light.
Yes, you're
Right.
just painting the light,
Just
as
painting
they
the light.
say.
And I think that so much of your feedback was really helpful to me in crystallizing a lot of my thoughts about how and where, like where I was thinking about the light well and where I was thinking about it not as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I like to... This is the metaphor I've had. It's a topographical map.
Yeah.
There are certain areas that are only existing in the highlight and mid-tone topography.
Right, right.
And people tend to go for the textures too soon. That's another thing I'm seeing within this whole, journey. Focus on value control. They start immediately, especially on fur.
Right.
Just go right for it. And the problem is when you have numerous shadows across the entire surface, it has a flattening effect on something that you want to have volume.
Yep. So overall, I just want to say thank you very much, Sam. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to be here. I feel like this maybe is my rent payment. I don't know any. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. This is
happy to be. Yeah, this is
the charge for the room.
Us
Yeah.
is being buds. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
I look. Probably all of you out there don't have access to esteemed, award-winning, and amazing painter Samuel Lenz. Okay, to give you feedback on that. I've never said your name before. Is your full name actually Samuel?
Yeah, it's Samuel. Do I say my middle name?
I don't. You can say your middle name if you want.
Horse Lord.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly, as we all know. But the reality is, you have people you have around you who probably also paint with you, or have access to people online, or something like that. Or through a Patreon, right? Like what example for what you can find in the description below. Where you can get review and feedback. Like, I would just encourage you to always try to seek out other people who are going to take a different angle. Even if they're at the same level as you, a painting peer, or maybe they're not better, they're still going to see different things that you're not seeing and can help you then shore up, your own opportunities, challenges, weaknesses, however you want to think about it. And you might be able to do the same thing for them. So, with that, if you liked this, and if you like Sam, give it a like. Subscribe for new hobby cheating. We've got new videos here every Saturday. Sadly, Sam will not be in all of them, but I will put him in every single one I can, I promise.
I'm coming back.
Yeah, there you go. As always, if you want to support the channel, lots of ways you can do so. You can hit like, subscribe, all that stuff. It's free, but also down below there's affiliate links there that you can pick up your hobby supplies. It doesn't cost you anything extra. There is, of course, our Patreon, as I mentioned. And if you want more of the Vinci Cinematic Universe, there's Fireball the Gazebo, my RPG podcast with Ninjon, and Snarlcast, my indie wargame podcast with Uncle Adam. Sam and I will get our own podcast going soon, don't worry. But other than that, I want to say thank you so much for watching this one. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Vince.
We'll see you next time.